Welcome back to Level Up. I'm John Cale. This is a podcast for you because you don't know what you don't know. Today is a second part, episode 2 of a session that we're calling From Slinging Blow to a New Go. And we have 25-year friends of mine with us today, Gary Wyatt and his wife Tricia, to come back and talk about the second episode of this particular podcast. Last time we met, I shared with you that we had 25 years of experience as friends. Gary was one of the biggest drug dealers in the southern area of this region. And Gary shared with us last session a little bit about his upbringing, his meeting Tricia, their upbringing together. They've known each other since elementary school. Is that right?
Yes.
I think I remember Tricia said something like Gary told her, "You're going to be my wife." And she said, "Absolutely no way, because I don't like you."
Right.
Back in elementary school. And here they are today and have been together and been through some tremendous things to get here today, to be a part of the podcast. And I count it a privilege to be friends with you guys and that our paths crossed. And so today, just to give you a little bit of background, this session is going to be about the change that took place. Episode 1 ends with kind of the breaking point for Gary. He had reached a point where he felt like there was no way out for him and even was considering getting out and leaving the planet completely.
Yes.
And I don't mean like on a mothership or something weird, right? But he literally had considered taking his life, because life had become so bad for him. So I thought we would just, get right into this today. And one of the things that I did want to mention about Gary and Tricia is not only have we been friends for a long time, but they actually have been serving the community in Akron for many years, 30 years. Is that right? 34 years. They've been involved, and they're the founders of the North Hill Community House, which is in Akron, and which is a place that they actually have after school programs, run summer camps, actually feed the community every single month, food pantry, help people, I think, with job placement, just a variety of offerings and help for that region. And I said I thought it was amazing that right across the street was the Harley Davidson or the Hells Angels main headquarters for the region. When I was down visiting him last time, it just was very interesting to me when I was down there. He also is the author of From Dealing to Healing, which is a book that he has, which you can find as well, which is a short of the story that we've been sharing here in episode 1 and we'll be sharing in episode 2. So guys, welcome back. Thanks again for being here and taking the time to get together and talk a little bit. So, I normally, as you know, last time we have a word for each episode. I try to have a word that I think is something that people can think about. Last time the word was choice. And we talked about the fact that choice is the steering wheel of our life direction, right? So sometimes the wheel, we turn it a little bit and we go a little ways. And other times we make choices that are like complete U-turns, right? And send us in a direction or down a detour that we don't want to go down. And so we make hundreds of those a day that we talked about. And every day, it doesn't matter who you are, right? These choices that you make in your life are going to ultimately put you in a destination somewhere. And the key is that you want to end up in the destination that you want to look out and go, this is where I want to be. Not look out and go, I don't want to be here. I want to be over there somewhere, right? But it's all dependent on choice. So the word for today is change. I think that really fits what we're talking about. The word is change. So, I would ask those of you who are watching the podcast and maybe some of you who saw episode 1, did you think about choices? Did you find yourself somewhere in the story of what we're talking about? And I would say to you, do you feel it's time maybe for a change in your life? Do you feel like maybe you're on a road and you better turn the wheel pretty hard and make a change? Or some things may come your way that you're not going to want to happen in your life, right? Are there signs in your life that something had better change or else, right? Are you starting to see things happen? If you remember, those of you who did watch the last episode, one of the things that Gary shared with us was that toward the end of his cycle, right, where we're picking up today, where he made the change, all of a sudden, there were things happening around him, and he was like one step ahead of a disaster. He was in homes, getting high, dealing drugs, and several of those homes within minutes or so of being there got blown up. And there he was out of the house and didn't get affected. Shortly after he had the point where he turned in life and started this new road, all of these people that he was in a network with all went to prison, right? So he was running one step ahead of disaster. And I guess my question would be for you today, with the word being change, is it possible for you that some of those things are catching you and it might be time and you might want to stop and think about the change that may need to be happening? And are there people around you who are standing there waving a flag, right, over your life, going, hey, you know, they see things you don't. Many times people around us see things about us that we don't see. Right. We completely can miss. I mean, even to the point of sometimes pointing other stuff out in other people and saying, hey, you're messed up. And, you know, we can overlook our own thing, looking at other people. So other people sometimes can be the indicators waving the flag for us that, hey, I'm waving the flag. You need to be careful, right? And you need to consider this, folks, right now, while you still have a choice, okay, before it's too late in your life. Yes. And I want to ask you this question. I thought about this when I was preparing for us to get back together today. Have you ever had a dream that, like, it was like a major real dream, right? And you're in this dream, and to the point where, like, you're sweating, and it just seems like so real to you. You're in this dream, and you wake up, and for just a moment, when you wake up from that dream, you're actually trying to determine, was this dream real, or is it a dream? And then you had this amazing revelation that, man, am I glad that's just a dream? Because if that was real life, I'm in trouble. Right. I've had some of those dreams where it was like I did something or something happened to me and the consequence was really bad. Yes. And I remember waking up and going, man, am I glad that that's just a dream. So, just a dream. So I just want to urge those of you who are watching today, you know, tune in and pay attention to what we're going to talk about, because this could be one of those points where it's a step for you before disaster, and you may be able to get some help here today. Yes. So I want to talk a little bit about, what's happening in your life. You went through all of the points last time of your life. People have watched that podcast, how you guys met and you got married and you were in the military. That was a great choice for you. Yes. And you ended up making some not good choices and starting to get hung out and hang out with people that were in this culture of drugs and got involved in that, right? And so a lot of those things Gary talked about. And what we're going to do today is we're going to pick up with kind of the breaking point where we left off from last episode. And I think, Tricia, you were saying that really this kind of came to a head because you had it. You're like, I can't continue to live my life like this. And even to the point where you had reached out to people and trusted people and shared it. And Gary had come to a point where, if in today's terms was probably anywhere from a $5,000 to $10,000 a week habit that he had with crack cocaine and cocaine in his life, selling and doing it. Right. So you guys, that was the point. And you had decided that you were going to just check out of life. You felt like you'd been cornered. Yes. And you were like, I'm just going to take my life and I'm just going to be out of here. Yes. Rather than try and get off of this and recover and get past it. Right. And so at that point, we kind of pick up today. And I think, Trish, you said that he was out for 3 days getting high, smoking like crazy. Probably should have died from the amount he smoked and got high with. But you didn't know where he was. And, I can only imagine. I've had points in my life where, with my wife, I've had difficult situations where I caused undue duress to her, right? Because of choices that I made. Yeah. So I can somewhat associate with some of the feeling that you might have had. Right. You love him. You don't want to lose him, but yet you can't continue to deal with this. Right. And so the emotion and the stress and the anxiety around that, right? Right. And then you find him in your driveway, and maybe you can pick up from there. And then we're going to talk about your road to where you are today. So can we just start there and share a little bit? Yeah. And so it was like, that night I had been out for 3 days and I'm sitting in the driveway
and I'm leaning over that car, and I never forget Tricia coming out. It was probably about 4:30 in the morning, and I don't even know how I got home, except to be the grace of God that I got there. And slumped over the steering wheel, and then Tricia walks out and was like, Gary, you knocks on the car. Got in the car, I'm smelling like one of them old drunk uncles that been drunk for about 3-4 days. Okay. Ain't showered, ain't did nothing. And she was like, we need to go to church, need to change.
And this came from your background, because both of you were raised and had a church background, right?
Yes.
And so thank goodness that you had something that you could go back to.
Yes.
Because today, one of the things that I was saying a little bit ago when we were talking about, you mentioned this, was that a lot of people today don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
They hit this point in life.
They don't know.
And they don't understand that there's an option, right?
Yes.
There's some place to go.
Right.
To get help.
There's always somewhere to go.
So go ahead.
That's why this podcast is going to be able to touch the unreached.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we don't do a lot of straight street outreach like we used to. It's still organizations and ministries that does it, but something like this podcast could be in thousands of houses at the click of just pushing that button. So I hope people really get into what we're saying. There's a way out. And I just, like I said, she grabbed me, cleaned me up. I got a shower. And so it was about 7, 8 o'clock that morning. By us having church background, I was raised apostolic. She was Pentecostal. So she believed in laying hands and trusting God to bring that junk out of you. And so we got up and went to church.
Wow.
One of our family members had been over praying for us that weekend that the Lord would have grace and mercy and just bring whatever was going on in our household to the forefront so he can deal with it and we could give it to him, all our cares and worries. So I'll never forget, in the neighborhood, I had 3 active dope houses going on at the same time, and it was a little bitty church that's still down there today. And we went to church, and we sitting in there, and I'm still high from the night before, and we just sitting in there, and
sitting in church high.
Yeah, I'm sitting in church high.
Looking around going, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. But conscious, and I'm thinking, man, I don't even feel right. You know what I mean?
Here.
Yeah, being here. Because I know how judgmental people can be.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, but they wasn't judgmental. They was loving, and nobody knew I was drunk.
Yeah.
They didn't know I was high. They just was glad to see me come to church.
Sure.
And a youth choir singing, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, and everybody jumping. So that's why I said that little Pentecostal church, apostolic, so we like to get the moving. They don't just sit there and, whoa. No, they did, and they're happy, tambourine. So I started feeling a little good. Next thing you know, middle of the service, Gary jumps up and started running around the service. People don't know. They thinking I'm clapping and happy. They don't know I had lost my mind. I'm trying to... they don't know, John, I had lost my mind. So I'm just running around, blending in with everybody and just going crazy and falling on the floor. And then some of my aunt and them kind of knew, people in the church knew, a couple people knew that I had been on cocaine and why I was there. And so they all rushed over there and started praying for me. I'm laying on the ground and just laying hands on me. Next thing you know, I just jumped up in the air and started running around the church, and they clapping and man, I'm like, Lord, I know what the Bible says. I know what Shadrach, Meshach, and the bad Negro, Abednego did back in the day, and they trusted you. I said, but nah, I'm standing in the need of prayer. I need some prayer right now, and I'm strung out on this cocaine and crack. I need you to deliver me. At that point, when I had gave that up, when I asked the Lord to come into my life, not knowing the sinner's prayer, not knowing none of that.
Yeah.
I just said, Lord, I need to give you all this. I'm giving it all. And when I said that, man, it was like a big, you remember them big old coats we would wear back in the 70s? We used to call them maxi coats, them big old
Parker
coats. Yeah. Man, it was like a big weight lifting off of me. And I jumped up. I mean, I must have jumped up about 8-9 feet straight up. I don't even know how I got up that high. And then I kept saying, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. At last, I felt like Dr. Martin Luther King. I ran again. Yeah. So I went to running down the aisle and the door was open. It was like coming out of one of them big Catholic churches. And you know how the dove just ascend? Yeah. Man, I could just feel the peace on me. Yeah. Then I ran back in the church, and man, from that point on, the church just lit up. It was just whatever happened, something happened that moment, and the church ignited. The preacher had never came on the scene. Yeah. And I was free from that day on. You could just feel it lifting. Yeah. And here it is. That was in 1991. Here it is, 2025, and I'm still feeling free and clean. You know, the Lord has blessed me and kept me. You know, man, that is an amazing account, right? Mm-hmm. And amazing testimony. And what you described, just for folks that are watching the podcast, right? I know, having been in ministry, right, mm-hmm. and having prayed with people, that have come to a point in their life where they just felt like there was no hope, right. Whether it was a drug addiction or maybe some kind of an illness they might have had or loss of somebody, mm-hmm. and they didn't know what to do, right? And just whatever it was, right? Broken. Yes. And having prayed with people, and they had come to a point where they realized this is the one place. Yes. This is the one thing I've never done. Mm-hmm. I've never mm-hmm. taken the time. I've listened to things all my life. I've watched things. I've read things. I've heard things. I've observed things. And I've kind of formed my opinion about God, right? Right. But one thing that most people have never done is come to him and said, okay, I'm done. I really want to know if you're real. Right. And I commit to ask you if you are. I'm committed in my heart, in my life, and I'm going to pursue knowing you, and I'm asking you to reveal yourself to me. That's right. Yes, yes. And that is when change happens. And I have seen people, I have watched people pray, and I have had people, I'm talking about like, I've had business guys. I got a friend of mine that was a major engineer for Google. Actually ran teams, hundreds of people overseas for Google. And actually, I think he was one of the writers of maybe Adobe or one of those programs. He was one of the guys that helped write that. Never went to college, never got his degree, just brilliant. And for those of you who are watching the podcast, depending on your age, you'll remember this, but software used to come with a book. Right. When they released software, they would give you discs, and there would be a book about an inch thick, right? And you'd have to go through the software manual and learn the software, right? David was so smart. He could take a manual and he could go up to the room when we would travel, and he would read the entire software manual at night. And the next morning at breakfast, he'd come down and say, "Yeah, this software is really cool," and he would know it. It was unbelievable. That guy was kind of didn't believe at all in God, right? And the only reason I'm saying this is because what you said is exactly what happened to him. One Sunday, he went to pray and ask God into his life. He said, you know what? I bought this Bible and I've investigated this Bible. Like, he's an analytical, right? Right. And he's a business dude. Yeah, I mean, he ended up selling his company and exiting out of Google. I mean, he's an extremely wealthy guy. And this guy was like, I got a Bible, and I started reading this Bible. He had never had one. He started reading the front of it, like how it was made. Who are all these people who wrote this? Who are all these guys that said this and that? And then he read the Bible, and he said, look, man, either this is real or it's the biggest lie in the history of mankind. That's right. And he came to a point where he was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And I remember I was one that prayed with him when he accepted Christ into his life. And he said exactly what you just said. He felt like something raised up off of him. And when he walked outside after church, we went to lunch, and he looked at me and he said, dude, who turned the lights on? He's like, I just feel like everything looks so different, new, right? And if you think about that from the Bible's perspective, it talks about before you really find God, there's a veil that separates us. And we think preaching in church is stupid. These people are nuts. Right? But when you come to the point where it happens, the veil gets lifted and you realize, no, you were the one who didn't
It really is true.
Yes.
So I didn't mean to divert there, but you made me think about that in a big way when you were talking about that. So
it's that simple.
Yeah. So what happened now? I want to talk about, like, I don't have a ton of questions here for episode 2 because I thought we could talk a little more about, like, so how did you know, from that point forward, life was different, right? All of a sudden you could sense God was there. Now, the one thing that happens that we've all experienced is that when we first come to him, there is a lot of emotion attached.
Yeah, right.
And you can feel it, right? But after a period of time, some of that feeling will dissipate, right? And that's where the faith has to start.
Yes.
That's where you know that it happened, right? And you know what happened to you. And the and you can still sense God there, but the feeling and the emotion sometimes goes up and down. Some days you feel like you're a Christian. Other days you're like, man, I'm so far away from God. I can't believe he even knows who I am.
Right. But
he is there. So how did you walk away from that experience and know that you were, like, going to go into a path of ministry? Like, how did that happen?
Well, first of all, at that point, I knew once I walked out of that church and gave my heart to Christ, I knew that God had to do some more work, because now I got to deal with the guy that I was selling for.
Yeah.
I got to deal with 3 active duty dope houses down the street that I'm still running.
Right.
I got to figure out how to dissipate and abate all of that.
Oh, man, yeah.
And so
you made a choice.
Yes.
You changed teams, in essence, right?
Overnight.
But you still have the result of the choices that you had made, that you had to deal with.
So,
wow, that's interesting.
So now it's like, Lord, I got to walk out of here. People owe me money. I owe people money. It's just this one big ring. And I'm trying to figure out, Lord, if I gave you my life, then I'm going to need you to get the rest of this done. It's almost like a faith walk. You know what I mean? Down a stairwell. You can't see the end of the stairwell, but until you step on that step and make that step, then once faith starts, that's when that stairwell begins to become real. You'll never see the end, but if you keep walking, you'll see different pieces of your stairwell in your life. So
you'll see the steps appear each time when you need it.
Yes. So I gave it to God. That evening, I had to go to work. I had a federal job. You know what I mean? I said, man, I had to clean up. I got to go to work. I'd get fired if I, miss another day. And so I went to work, and then I had to deal with, I owed some guy, some money. So he came over, and I just straight out told him, I don't know where I got the words from. I just said, you know what, man, I done got saved. I messed up the money, the dope, here's my little guns and stuff. You can take all of this. And he just looked at me. And he said, well, I'm going to say this. If you say that you one of them Christians, that's what he told me. If you say that you saved and you one of them Christians, I bet not ever catch you back out here. If I do, you owe me some money.
Wow.
You're going to pay up.
Wow.
That's exactly what he told me in my living room. He said, as long as you ain't out here, we good. But if I catch you out here, you got to pay up. And he walked out the door. 1 year went past, not in the streets. 2, 3, 4, 5 years, never came back to the streets. To tell you how God worked that out in the long run, 20 years later, I wrote a letter to the federal judge helping him out because they had busted that whole train.
Wow.
From the least to the greatest, they got every last one of them. And they got him on some trumped up charge, and I was able to write a letter on his behalf asking the judge to have mercy because he had over time just kind of, blessed the food pantry and just different things.
He had done good things.
Yeah, he had done some good things that I had to validate because now he's looking at me like, okay, I know what you used to be, but what you're doing now is insane because now you're feeding people, you helping people. Like I said, we started off doing Toys for Tots in the same neighborhood. We went back to them same dope houses and started helping people.
I remember we did that.
Yes,
with you.
yes.
I remember coming and doing that with you.
Couple times.
Yeah.
You brought the whole youth group.
I brought all of them down. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Summit Lake Community Center.
Yep.
You know, and so at that point, God worked that out. You know, so I had to, here was the big test. I still had 3 dope houses. They still had my money. I had to make a decision. Do I want to collect?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of remind me of the story when God gave the talents out.
Yeah.
You know, and the dude, God forgave him, but then he wanted to be shrewd. Well, guess what? The dope dealer wasn't shrewd to me.
Yeah.
So I told them, whatever you owe me, just keep it.
Yeah.
Keep it.
And I can't imagine them looking at you going,
yeah.
huh?
They said, oh yeah, he changed. I said, whatever. I said, listen, we shutting down. You know what I mean? Well, we ain't gonna have it. No, we shutting down. Just whatever you got, just keep it. Whatever you owe me, just keep it. I did that to 3 dope houses. That's how I had to settle my debt.
Yeah.
Because he had forgave me, and then ultimately God forgave me of my debt.
Yeah.
Everything that I owed him, he restored it.
Yep.
And so that's why that third test was to prove that I wasn't going to accept that money.
Yep. So you were passing it on. There's another word for that. There was a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but they were passing it on. It's like share it.
Yes.
Like, if this do this for you, then do it for someone else, and do it someone else.
Right.
Yeah. That is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So
and that's not in the book.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of stuff you talk out and you just be like, man, God did so many powerful things. You forget all that he done.
Yeah.
Get you out of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had to deal with that. You got through that. And then how did you guys, did you sense that you needed to do more and that you were kind of being called to like get more involved in the community and like all of that in ministry and helping people? Like, can you talk about that road a little bit that kind of started into like where you guys are now?
We wanted to rebuild the neighborhood that we destroyed.
Okay.
I mean, we lived in the neighborhood. We loved the neighborhood. We grew up in the neighborhood. But ultimately, when you're selling drugs, you're destroying your neighborhood. I don't care if you're from the neighborhood or not. If you are not putting into that community to build it up, you're messing up lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So our heart was, let's get back to this neighborhood that we destroyed. So that's why we started our ministry at Summit Lake first.
Okay.
And we went on. We went on to do 15 years, actually 16 years in that community. I mean, from 1991 when I got saved, we had just bought that house probably a year later. The Lord blessed us, got the credit together, bought the house. Got married. You know, when I got saved right off crack, 2 weeks later, we got married. Who does that?
Yeah.
And why would she even take a chance? Be like, man, you ain't even been off crack 2 weeks.
Right.
I'm going to marry a crackhead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But God worked it out. It is 38 years later.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he got all that cleaned up. And so instead of moving out of the neighborhood, we stayed in the neighborhood. We wouldn't be like, well, I'm around this and this and that. Nope, we stayed. We stayed for 16 years.
Wow.
And in one of our outreaches, we did outreaches. So that means that we went around and set up in whatever area, gave out food, gave out this, helped other churches. And so they did an interview with one of the outreaches that we were doing. And it's like, well, what do you see best in Gary? What do you think most about him? What can you say about him? And they were like, what we admire about him is that he didn't leave the neighborhood after he changed. He stayed with his family and he's giving back. And so that was it.
Yeah. That's
God answered. You're on the right track.
Yeah. That is
so
awesome.
Our heart is outreach, and that's why we do what we do now.
Right.
Because people can say, I know how I've been there, know how you feel, but we really know what it was like to struggle coming up in a disgruntled family. Trying to find your way, not, being in this type of household or that type of household. So I feel that with our backgrounds and what we've did, in the drug scene, that we can say, you know what, you can come out of it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that once something, always something. I believe that when God set you free, he set you free indeed.
Right.
It says, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. I don't think once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic.
Right.
I don't think once you're a drug addict, you're always going to be a drug addict. I believe, again, when God sets you free, he clears that path. You know, he does.
Absolutely.
And the only reason that you'll be a drug addict or a drunk is because you chose to do it.
Yeah, choices.
You said it's choices.
Yeah.
And when you change, if you stay changed, then you're done.
Yeah.
You can be done with it. I don't think that stigma, man puts that stigma on you, but God does not. He wipes away your slate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If you think back over the years till, you know, from then when life changed and now to today, are there a couple specific things that you would say that would be like miraculous type things that he's done with you? Like, have you met somebody, like, for example, and you were used to, like, this person's life was radically, like, are there a couple incidences that are kind of miraculous over the past years that you would share?
Well, I'm going to tell you some in the natural as well as the spiritual. One in the natural was that I had kind of messed our credit up and messed up some stuff. You know, that's when it was starting to affect our household. But within 1 year, I had, tried to get that house. And I remember them talking about your credit. And I kind of had gave up. And my wife was like, you ought to write the board. You ought to write them and tell them. So I wrote the appealing board. Back then, you could appeal if they denied you credit. I wrote the board and told them how I was on crack and how I was in the military. I told them my story, and I said, but now I'm a changed man. Have mercy on me. Do you know the board overturned that and gave me that loan to get that house? Bank One did it.
That's amazing.
Back then, remember Bank One?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Bank One.
Yeah, the Navy Federal. Okay. They overturned a bad decision, and nobody could have did that. And I already believed in God, because once he delivered me from crack, I knew that God could do anything, because I know. If don't nobody know, I know, and she know. And she knew. So he started doing little stuff like that, just little minute things that make me realize, you know what, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And because I ain't never, John, like, I admire you a lot, because I ain't never been like the brightest person in the room. But the Bible says your gift, he'll make room for you. Yeah. He'll fix it where you'll sit before kings and queens. Some of the places I done sat in D.C. and offices, even back in the day representing John Ashcroft, I was behind this dude in a picture helping him deal with women's rights. I'm thinking, man, how in the world did I get there?
Here? Yeah, right.
This dude, don't he know what I used to do?
Yeah.
Then he know I used to, man, nope, I'm up there with the Secret Service in the doggone inauguration. I did 30 days in 2009 in Obama's presidential inauguration. I was the guy that was on security. You know what I mean? Yeah. Only God. I said, don't they know? I mean, I never caught a record.
Yeah.
That's one thing about God, because I yielded in a perfect time, and I never caught a case. I never got a felony.
Wow.
I kept my federal job, which was the right then Department of Defense. I kept my post office job. I transferred. I stayed in the Navy. I did 34 years, and I am completely retired without a scratch or a blemish. That's the natural things he did for me. 56 retired because I was willing and obedient. Now, the spiritual things was how many people done read that book, that story, John. We in Bloomington, Indiana on a military assignment for the weekend. We sitting in, actually we there about to have a pity party, because we had
waiting like, oh, maybe we're done.
Yeah. Okay. 20 years and then we on military. I brought her down there, and we sitting in there about to have a pity party about, man, I'm tired of helping. I'm tired of this and that. And we sitting in the restaurant, and a man walks up. He said, ain't you the guy that wrote that book? I said, what book? He said, from Dylan to Hill, and you was here a couple of years ago. He said, you gave me your book. And I was like, because I would go down there for military. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. He said, well, man, I've been clean ever since you've been gone. Lord done changed my life, my family. You got to come to church. You got to meet my family. It was stories like that made me think, God, you still in control. Mm-hmm. You still love people. You still helping people. Those were the kind of miracles, and he's still doing it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
We have people come up to us all the time. I remember you. You know, we read your book. We had a girl came up to one of our outreaches. She actually lives around the community house. And she was really strung out on drugs. And through an outreach, she got saved, delivered, and she's been clean. And she always comes and lets us know. Actually, we have an article. They did an article on her. Mm-hmm. And she was in the article. We was at an outreach in in a rough area. Mm-hmm. And she gave her life to Christ. And she's been good. And she checks in with us all the time. She's still around to let us know. It was because of y'all in that book. Right. That gave me hope. Like, I didn't think I could get off of drugs. But your husband got off of drugs. Yep. And then another person came back. She gave me her book. She wrote a book based off of her and us. Yeah. Yes. Which was excellent. Wow. So just when you think that maybe your mission is complete, you're feeling some kind of way, because you say you feel like, oh, I'm saved today. It's like emotional. Yes. But then you feel like, I don't even feel like God is hearing me, seeing me, or want to be bothered with me. It'd be those little stories or people that come up to you just when you feel like you're going to give up. Every time. Or you're done. Every time. Every time. So that's a sign to hang in there, because God still got some more work for you to do.
You know, I was thinking while you were talking, I was thinking about the fact that all of us have probably had people in our life that have done something for us. Yes. Right? Like you think about maybe something in your life where somebody did something for you and you were blown away. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And as a result of what they did, it motivated you to want to support maybe their cause or them. Mm-hmm. And it was a motivator, right? It was gas in the tank. And I think that for people who really find relationship with God and find forgiveness, when you really find that and realize that it's not based on merit, right? Like he doesn't find us based on that we're good, or we have money, or we have cars, or we give this much, or we attend church, and we check these boxes. That's not how that's not what it's about. He pursues us in unconditional love. Yes. Right? That's why he finds us. Yes. And when you realize that he finds us, I spoke last night at our church about used adoption as a basis for the same thing that happens in Christian life, right? You're adopted, right? Yeah. So when you're adopted, if you're a child who doesn't have a family, you started in a family, but now you're outcast, right? You're not there for some reason. You're not in that family, whatever. Not your fault, but you're out there. You're lost. You're hopeless. You feel like unloved and weird and all, right? But the point is that when somebody adopts the child, they come looking for that child, not based on their merit. Right. They come looking for them because they truly love them, and they're wanting to give them love. Right? And so I guess I'm going through all that to say this, that most of the time when you really find the forgiveness from God that we're talking about, it motivates you to be like, man, like I have nothing to offer. Like, Like none of us can. He doesn't grade on a curve. Like we don't get in because we have nice hair, or we have cool shoes, or we have a cool house, or we gave $18 million. It doesn't matter to him. No, it don't. Because it's not about all that. It's about his unconditional pursuit of us, just because we're his creation. Right. And then we're motivated, like you guys. It's the motivation behind you. And your ministry is, listen, if he could forgive me, and he could let me and pay the price for all my mess, right? Then I'm gonna have that same spirit to help other people,
right?
And it's the motivator. That's the motivator. So it's just awesome to hear how things are working for you. I want to ask you one more question, and then you share real quick before we finish the episode a little bit about the community house. Okay, so what would you share with the folks listening? That if you're going to share one thing, like if you want to give one piece of advice or one comment to people, what would you share as we come to the close of this episode? What's one thing you would tell people who are watching today?
Well, I could tell you one thing: God could do anything and everything, and it's all in His timing. We just have to have patience and let the process work, because even though it seems like they get lonely sometimes, God is always there. It's like the footprint in the sand when we look back and we wondering why we don't see two footprints. It was God saying, that's when I carried you, when you couldn't stand on your own. And it get like that sometime in this Christian walk. But the community house, the way He blessed us to get that house, and we was having issues with the house we was in, and the Lord blessed us financially to be able to purchase that house. And it was a dope house that God cleaned out. We went in, sieged it, took over, and started programs. We didn't know exactly what we was going to do, John, but we just know we had to keep walking. You know what I mean? And out of that, we started a food pantry. We started doing after school programs. The biggest thing was outreaching to people. And that's when, like I said early on, even with you guys, y'all would bring your church down. I always had a desire to work with all people. I never was just like an African American where I just wanted us like that. I always wondered why churches wasn't like multicolor and all this and that. Well, you was like one of the first persons that I found that in. And this kind of a little bit off the script, but I gotta say this because the way I met you, it was just like, well, I don't even know this dude, and we clicking. And when y'all invited me to go to the conference up in the hills, and I'm thinking, man, if we don't come back, y'all.
I remember you telling me about that. You're like, I'm going to go up here with all these people, all these white people. Honestly, you told me I'm going to go up here in the hills with all these white people. Here's my number. If I don't come back, this is who they are.
We ain't had cell phones then either. We didn't have that cell phone coverage. And I remember taking my wife to rap group. Remember we had the gospel rappers, my son and them in the log cabin.
Best weekend we had ever.
It was ever. And I still think about that. But at that point, John, God changed me. He changed me, and I saw the world different. You know what I mean? The community house, the North Hill Community House, would not be here today if it wasn't for the collaboration.
And connection.
And the connection
from everyone.
From everyone.
Remember, I talked about that village in the first episode.
Yeah.
A village is not just people that's made up of you. You have to have. I spoke at a ladies' conference. In my village, I want people that are better than me. I want to have people in my village that I'm bringing up to my level. And I want to have people in my village that's bringing me to another level.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
And you did that, John. You did that. You came at a critical point of our life, and I think it might have been vice versa, but, you sold something in us that pushed us out 15 more years.
That's awesome.
You remember when the prophet was asking, can you give me 15 more years? Well, you pushed us. And here we are today. You know what I mean? Now we going into the third quarter of our life, and we questioning now, it reminds me of, I done retired from the post office, right? I did my 30-something years in the military. And so I'm like, rightfully, we could retire from the ministry. We put our time in, but the word of the Lord reminded me of something Bob Woodson said. He's 88, still pushing the Woodson Center, moving strong. And we all gathered. He said, well, unlike Gary, people retire in the natural. He said, you retire from your jobs, but you expire from your calling.
Wow, that's deep.
So I'm looking at him, you 88, you mean tell me I got 30 more years to go in this?
Yeah, right.
So he said, you don't retire from the kingdom.
You expire.
You expire.
So we don't plan on going anywhere no time soon.
Yeah, right. So you got time to work.
Yeah, we got some more
you can't
time.
Quit.
Right,
Ain't no quit.
Right. That's awesome.
So,
well, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to get together, to come up and be a part of this in episode 1 and 2. And again, this is Gary's book, From Healing to Dealing. And you have a website. Tell them the website again.
Yeah, it's www.northhillcommunityhouse.org.
We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. So
yeah, and if you're down in the area, I'm sure if you just Google the address,
526 North Howard Street.
There you go.
Akron 44310.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you.
And I'm so thankful that our paths have crossed with you guys.
Thank you for having us.
And over the past 25 years, it like we don't see each other, and then boom, we see each other, and then we don't see each other.
Don't miss the
right. It's like good friends. You ain't got to see them every day.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Just know they're there.
Yeah.
You need them.
So I hope that those of you who have been watching again for the past couple episodes, I hope that you will hope that you'll think about the word for today, change. And I hope that maybe you've seen or had a thought or some kind of motivation that will help you to think about maybe some changes in your life, some things that maybe you're headed in a direction right now that you need to turn the wheel a little bit. You need to make some different choices. And I would urge you to think about these things that we've talked about from the spiritual side of your life, and realize that that God is there, and He is a God that pursues you, not because you got everything right and you do everything perfect. The best place for you to come and talk to God is when you're jacked up and all out of control, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you're open and honest and saying, look, I can't do it. When you get to a point, and you realize that you need help, it's not a crutch. It's not a wimp out thing. It's very real. We were created for that. So I want to remind you that, we'll be back with the next episode. I plan next episode to have the pastor of my church, Todd Ionetta, here. And it's going to be, pastors, church, God, what's real? Right? That's what we're going to talk about. And it's going to be very basic. You're not going to get bored. This isn't something you're going to hear that's going to be like, wow, I can't hear it and listen to that. You're going to walk away going, I had no idea about the stuff we're going to talk about.
Right.
And so I would invite you to come back, and I want to remind you that you're a unique person, that there's only one you. Remember your fingerprints, right, that tie to you. And I hope that you'll do something with what you've heard today. And we look forward to seeing you next time. I'm John. I'm out.